Hello Namibia, and welcome to yet another episode of the Campfire series. My name is Absai Haidua. I'm joined by Helena Arendo for our sign language interpreter. Thank you for joining us tonight. Tonight we are joined by Martin Wilkinson, a senior expert at Provet. Provet means Industry Cooperation Promotion of Vocational Education and Training. And we are very excited to hear what he's going to share with us tonight. Thank you, Martin, and welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. And your fire is nice and warm.
Right. Before we start, you see, we in the difficult times of COVID-19, we are practicing our social distance, and we have sanitized our hands so we can safely remove our masks. All right. Tonight we will discuss a very important point, and I hope you have your notebook with you to take some notes from this show, because tonight is the night that we're going to learn from Martin. Our topic for tonight, or in fact, we'll discuss why planning a business or having a business plan should be your baby and no one else should write it for you. So, Martin, I just want to quickly, please give us an introduction of who is Martin.
Okay. My name is Martin Wilkinson, and I came to Namibia in 1997 as a volunteer. My background is engineering.
Yeah.
So I worked in Rundu for a project that made village water pumps, amongst other things. And that I didn't know at the time, but when I got there, I was basically running that project as a business.
Yeah.
I had to earn my own allowance, I had to pay staff, and I had to buy and sell materials. So that kind of threw me in at the deep end of running a small business. And then I've run some other projects over the years, and basically I stayed in Rundu because it's very beautiful.
Yeah, it's
and then I started my own business, renting marquee tents and event management, basically. And that lasted about 13 years. So as a very small business, we grew and grew. We became quite popular in the region and even outside of the Kavango region. So I hope the viewers will agree that I've got quite a lot of experience in running a small business, especially. Yeah. And also later on, I worked in other projects where I mentored small businesses. So we helped people write business plans.
Yeah.
And what came out of that was that people will like to have an idea. Let's say it's a salon, or they're going to bake wedding cakes, and they find somebody to write it for them, and they hardly do any research, and they don't really know. They just think it's a good idea to start baking cakes, but they didn't know anything about how the business is going to run.
Yeah. Great. So that must have been a very exciting journey of how you started and how you got into mentoring and helping people or small businesses how to start their journeys.
I hope so, and I hope if there's some of our previous mentorees watching, they can send a message whether Martin taught them anything at all. I don't know if that's inviting some danger, but we'll see.
Yeah. Putting a business plan requires entrepreneurs to ask themselves a lot of hard questions and take time to come up with well-researched, insightful answers. While a business plan have many purposes, the primary importance of a business plan is that they help to have a clear vision to understand what the viable of the business, or the business viability. So tonight we are very lucky to have Martin here in the show that will discuss or give us insight on really how to start up writing up your business plan. So to dive into it, Martin, maybe you can share with us what are those first points, or what are those first things that you need to have or to come up with to write a business plan.
Okay. I think for the first point is that when you are looking to start a business, I think it's been said on previous campfire sessions as well, that you need to have a passion for something.
Yeah.
You need to be interested in the thing that you're going to start the business with and have some knowledge of it. But that doesn't mean to say that your business is going to be viable if you haven't written the plan and you haven't thought it through. And it could be, and I wanted to stress it, it could be that you have to write 10 business plans, maybe about the same thing or maybe about a number of different businesses, and you might throw them away sometimes. It might not always be a smooth journey from writing a business plan to trotting off to the bank manager to getting some money and then starting. So just prepare yourself mentally that the reason why you're creating the plan is to find the pitfalls, to the tripwires, the things that are going to make the business fail. And maybe if your business plan fails, to get written or to get completed, that's an indication that your business isn't the best idea at the moment. So having said that, as a kind of a background, we've got a number of things that makes your business plan a happy baby, because it's your baby. That's our theme this evening, is the fact that you shouldn't really allow somebody to write it completely. You can give them ideas, but the business will be your baby, and the plan is basically the start of your growing your baby. So let's say 8 things to have a happy baby is, and I'll say also that these aren't my things. You can Google 1,000 different websites and find how to write a business plan. But they're headings of them, let's say.
So please, I hope you have your notepad or notebook right next to you to take out these very important points that Martin will share with us tonight.
Okay, so the first one we'll come back to, which doesn't really make sense, but is the executive summary. But an executive summary is written for somebody who's going to be supporting you, whether it's the bank manager, whether it's your parents, whether it's other partners, but they need to get interested very quickly. So it needs to be exciting, original, should be a bit of fun. I think anyway, all of business ideas should be fun, unless maybe you're running an undertaker or something, then you have to be a bit more serious. But try and keep it interesting and fun, and let's say the executive summary will talk about risk and keep the risk low at first, but it should catch the interest of the reader. So having said that, the executive summary will be a summary of the following points. So first you need your kind of concept, what's going to be your business. You can describe that, and you can describe the company structure. Do you have a product, or is it a service that you're going to deliver? Is it unique? Does it have a gap? Start with your company description. What's it going to be doing? Is it cheaper than something that exists already? Are you going to improve the quality? Are you going to create a luxury product? Like there's lots of soap, but are you going to make a luxury soap? Or something like that. So you've got the company description already starting to develop in your head, and you're putting that down on the paper, and you also want to know how you're going to scale it. You might make 10 bars of soap a day, and that's enough, but then how do you open your factory and make 1,000 bars of soap a day?
Because that's the idea to grow your business.
So that leads you then to your market analysis, and that's basically what you can have in your notebook, is to write down market analysis. Who are going to be your customers? Who are your who are your customers? Where are you going to operate? Did you do some research with respect to how your market is going to be accepted? Did you sit at an intersection and write all the numbers of cars that go past, if that's something to do with your business? Did you sit at a certain corner and see how many people walk past? If you're going to open a coffee shop, then you need to count the footfall, as they say. So looking at the market that you're going to enter into is very important, because without that analysis you don't know how much you're going to sell of something, or who your customers are going to be, and if you're going to survive at all. The next part, of course, then is who you're going to be competing against. It's probably pretty unlikely that you're going to invent a brand new idea. If you do, then it's fantastic, and you don't have any competition.
Yeah.
In fact, in Rundu, when I opened up the tent business,
Yeah.
we didn't have any competition. Everybody used to go to the army base and borrow tents.
Oh.
And they're a bit like dark, and they're old and green, and they're not very exciting if you're having a baptism or a wedding. So that was my niche. I didn't have any competition for about 3 or 4 years.
Oh, wow, that was nice.
So at least then we knew the competitive analysis was very, very easy because there was no competition. But if you're going to be competing with somebody, then you need to know who they are, how they're priced, how are they succeeding, how are you going to do better, and how are you going to cost your product against that competitive or that competitor? And are you still going to make money? You can stop me, Absai, if you have questions, or I can just keep going through the list for now.
Yeah, you can carry on.
Then you can say, after you've established your market and who you're going to be competing with, you've got an idea of costs, but we come on to that a bit more in a minute. What's going to be the structure? It could be that you're very creative. You have all the passion for sewing, but you know nothing about finance.
Yeah.
Do you need to team up now with somebody who's more of a financial person? Or do you want to go it alone? I don't recommend going it alone if you know nothing about finance. I learned that myself. Yeah. And I think we're both still learning about that.
That's true. Now, I wanted to just ask you there quickly where you said you need to have to partner up. I have, like you said, I know about sewing, but I don't have the financial background. Do you suggest I go for an established auditing company maybe to help me with that, or any other financial assistance, or not financial assistance, but any other financial any other financial professional to help me on that, or I can just pick someone? How do you suggest? How do you advise on that?
I think it depends on the scale. If you're going to start very small, then probably somebody who's good at accounting or is even studying accounting or whatever can help and keep your fees low. They might even do it for nothing because it's kind of like a practical advice, or it's their practice.
Yeah.
But if you're going to borrow $5 million and start something huge, then you would factor in the costs of a financial advisor for that.
Oh, yes.
Because you don't want that 5 million to go missing.
Yes,
and it shouldn't go with him either. Okay. So I think it's all about the scale. If you can afford somebody that's professional, then probably that's the best route. But if you're looking to keep your costs down and your activity is quite low cost as well at the beginning, you're not generating huge amounts of invoices, then you would then choose a slightly more cost-effective person.
Great. Well, that's good to know.
All right, and then in terms of the structure of the team that you're going to build, I would be very amiss, and my colleagues at NTA, Namibia Training Authority, wouldn't appreciate me not mentioning that when you're hiring, are you hiring unskilled people? Are you hiring skilled people to do a job? Are you hiring the people that have been qualified in clothing production if that's your business? Or how are you going to team up?
Okay.
Because you need somebody to help you. You'll fry yourself if you try and do everything alone. And your employees need to have a skill set. So you should identify that, and that needs to go into your business plan. I'm going to hire these people, and that's where your finance comes later, because you need to know how much you're going to be paying them.
Yeah. Sorry, just to take you there, hiring the right people for my business. Do I need to what do I need, or how do I find, or how can I find the right people, or does that depend on the business model?
Yeah, well, you create a job description, and I'll keep saying it, that's why you're writing a business plan, because you're identifying the posts that you might need. Identifying the posts indicates the development of a job description. Then you can see if that's your little brother or whether it's somebody you need to hire. Then you'll know whether to advertise, or you'll know whether to maybe poach somebody from another company. Let's not say poach. Head hunting, yes. If you can afford to make them a better offer that they can't refuse. But you need to look around your network, and you need to keep networking, and you need to keep finding people that have those skill sets.
Great.
Of course, you can go to, if it's something practical, like you're starting woodwork or construction or clothing production, you can go to your VTCs or private training providers, whoever it might be, and they'll say, you know what, Absai, he graduated last year, he didn't find work yet, but he was our top student. So if you're looking to hire young people, the places where they trained and where they graduated from is a good start.
That is
to
very
source
important.
people.
Yeah, that is very important to share, really.
And then under the structure as well, there's I know you have guests coming later from BPER about registering your business and whether you should register for tax.
Yeah.
I know.
Oh yes, please.
I know now to set the cat among the pigeons a bit, because when I started my business, we registered for tax very early, and the business doesn't take off that quickly. So you start getting into a situation where you're always reporting to the tax man, but you really haven't made much money, and it's a burden. So I would say, and maybe your colleagues later in the next shows can say, should you start immediately registering for tax, or should you wait until it gains some momentum and you've got some consistency? And I would say that's what you should do. Focus on your business, focus on marketing, focusing on your quality of your product. Once you've got some consistency and you've got some income, then you can say, right, now I'm ready to pay some taxes and register myself and have an identity. Because it's very difficult to unregister yourself from a tax situation. That's my main point in that respect. Unwinding a company is quite is difficult, and every time you go to the revenue office, it's like they're pulling the handle on a jackpot. There's a different number every time you go there, and you never seem to get clear of them. So 6 months or so, get your business running, and then present yourself to the tax man, ask what's the procedures, what you should do, and then you can go straight ahead. In other terms of let's say a closed corporation or a sole trader, you'll still need a defensive name, and the defensive name is the name of your business that's catchy, memorable, starts to be your branding, which I'll come on to. But once you've registered a defensive name, it can't be used by somebody else. And you can't become Coca-Cola, by the way, because then they'll sue you for that 5 million. But at the end of the day, you need something that's going to be unique, and BPER are the people in charge of checking all the records and seeing if there isn't a company like that exists already. So you still need that in the beginning, but your kind of tax profile, you can start to build it up a little bit later.
Great.
But I'm not saying don't pay your taxes. I'm not saying that. Okay?
Yes. Oh, thanks for making that very clear. But still, to just go back to that point again, I have an idea and I want to start that business, but like you said on tax, and I know I'm not gonna make money for the next for the upcoming months, maybe the next 6 months or so. I know it's gonna be me finding my feet in the market. So do you, at registering a business, I want to ask now, what is the difference? How should a business be registered? How should I register my business if I don't have to go for tax in the first go?
Yeah, I think it's like I said, you can do the defensive name part. You can choose your status, whether it's a closed corporation or a sole trader. You need to understand the different legalities of that, which I won't go into because otherwise your next speaker next week won't have much to talk about.
I'm sure he will.
And those two things, and whatever the BPER person also recommends later. Let's say you need a premises, you might need a fitness certificate from the municipality, and you might also need a certain number of criteria. Let's say you want to tender for something, and a government tender or maybe a training authority or whatever, they would say you need to be registered for social security, you need to have your municipality certificates, you need to be a legal entity. So those things you need to investigate yourself. I think there are so many different business ideas out there. I might say the wrong information in saying you only need these things. Go and look for, like, obviously if you're making wedding cakes, as we use that example, there's health and hygiene to be involved in there. There might be an inspector that comes along. But if you're making bricks, you don't need to be as healthy, although there's health and safety, of course. But you don't need a hygiene inspector for the recipe of your bricks, unless they're very tasty, I guess. So, yeah, I think those first criteria you can look into, but the tax story I'm just reiterating, and I'm glad I saw at the bottom of the screen Mercy, one of your first guests. She agrees with me.
Oh.
That's validation, I can tell you. So that's my main point, is you can get caught up in a whole tax sort of mess before you've even started focusing on your business.
Okay.
All right, so then, sorry?
Yeah, no, sorry. I just want to go to the next, next point. Yeah.
So the next one is marketing and sales. So in marketing, you need to, okay, let me go backwards. You need to create a brand, and you do that. A brand is how you're recognizable. My brand in Rundu was Intense Namibia, because we rented tents, and it's intense, like it's a bit of a play on words.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that was written very large. Now I sound like Donald Trump. It was written very bigly above our shop. And this is where you start laughing, isn't it, Absai? Because what do you do with tents? You erect them, okay? So you put up a tent, it's called erecting the tent. So at Intense, we had the best erections in the region. And that made everybody laugh. You see, even people in the studio are laughing already.
I'm sorry.
And then
we're really just having fun.
And then everybody started talking about that. Some of our local lodges used to use a screensaver of ours, which was Intense, and it had some pictures of all the different tents, and it said Intense Erections, and then everyone was pointing at the screen and talking about our business. And you can't get better advertising than people talking about something and laughing, okay? So on the side of the backy also, we had the best erections in the region. We get it up and we don't let you down. So it's all tent related, okay? And event management. But that was our brand, and it's important to kind of think along those lines. How do other companies do it?
Yeah.
Obviously, we all know Coca-Cola, or we all know Namibia breweries. Yeah. We know, let's say, a posh shop in London is Harrods, because I'm seeing a bag down there that's Harrods. Oh. So creating a brand is important, and you do that with your advertising, with your logos, so it's immediately recognizable. Everybody knows the ribbon or the whoosh of Nike, and try and concentrate on that. And then maybe some slogans, like I said.
Yeah,
we get it up and we don't let you down. I hope that's
very, very important.
You know, I sold the business to a local guy, Gerard Hamatenya. I hope he's watching, and I hope it's still doing well. But I hope he's still using the same branding. I'm sure he is. Yeah. And then, so we've said about having a bit of fun with the name. Relative to what you're doing, you might not want to be so funny if you're an accountant or you're actually doing tax returns for people. You might want to be a bit serious. But at the end of the day, if you've got some product that's lively and colourful, then add some fun into it as well. And you also want to have some fun running a business. It shouldn't be drudgery.
Yeah, it should be fun and exciting. It's a journey.
And then coming to sales, because I said marketing and sales, that's now written in your notebook about branding and logos, but the advice also is about how do you allow customers to pay for your product? Are you going to allow credit? Because it's so tempting at the beginning to give your product away and wait for somebody to pay. And lots of people will always ask for that. And in Kwangali we'll say Kwato Mokongo, like there's no credit. I don't know what it is in Oshivambo, but basically...
I don't want to translate, but I think I get what it means.
But it basically means no credit. And we were lucky in our businesses that we didn't really have to, we could survive by not allowing people to have credit. But try and avoid it. If somebody can't buy that wedding cake before it's actually made, and especially eaten, how do you repossess an eaten wedding cake? You can repossess a car, but wedding cakes are pretty tricky to repossess, isn't it? So get your money up front as much as you can.
So depending on the type of product, you have to now also structure your pricing. Do people pay up front? Do people pay later? Or it really depends on the the type of business you're
Exactly.
doing. Great. That's excellent.
And paying later is never good. I know we all do it. We all get things on credit. But if it's the other way around and it's your product, then you start stressing at night whether that dude is ever going to pay. And it's not, it takes the fun out of the business.
You start chasing each other around. Like, where's my
Exactly.
money?
So now we've spoken about the fun part, but this is the serious part, is basically your financial planning.
Yeah.
There's a lot to do, and you might not put it all, let's say, in your business plan as a chapter, but you can have your Excel sheets in annexes at the back, let's say, that anybody reviewing the business plan can see that you've done your sums. And you need to know the cost of your production, if it's producing something. You need to unpack all of those individual costs. You need to know how much you want to pay yourself. Do I work for $20 an hour? Do I work for $200 an hour? If I work for $200 an hour and I translate that into my product, am I ever going to sell the product? Is it going to be too expensive?
Yeah.
And that's why I said earlier, that's where your business plan can fall apart, because I know I used to do welding as well, and that was part of one of our businesses, was welding and fabrication, and I would make a security door gate for $700.
Yeah.
But I know a guy next door would say, "Ish, that Shurumbu's getting $700, let me make it for $500." But I know he couldn't make a profit because when you add in your time and the materials and the depreciation, let's say, in the tools and equipment that you're using, you're not making a profit. You're spending $500 over 2 or 3 weeks, then you get $500 back and you think it's in your pocket, but it already left.
It already left.
So the cost of sales, the cost of your running your business, your rent, your overheads, so those are divided. Most of you know already, I'm sure your viewers know a little bit about business, that there's fixed costs and there's variable costs. So your fixed costs are renting this building. It's never going to change, however busy you are. But variable costs are all your materials. So I know the cost of one security gate, but then if I have an order for 100 security gates, do I need to go to Pukovitz now, get my steel on credit, and then how do I pay that back later? Do I get all the invoices in? Do I pay it back? So those are variable costs. The costs of your activity increase as you become more busy.
Does that mean then I have to charge more, or how can I then make sure that I'm still making profit?
Yeah, that's in your financial plan.
Okay, great.
If we want to talk about that, you'll have to invite me back for another hour session, because you devote the financial side of things. But what I have in my notes here, because otherwise I'll forget, is basically your break-even analysis as well. And that sounds like a big calculating story, but at the end of the day, you can put your fixed costs across a chart and your variable costs as you, in fact, that answers your question, how do I know what to charge, or how do I start making money? Basically, where your variable costs and your fixed costs start to cross, you get a triangle in the top right-hand corner of that chart, and that's where you're starting to make money.
Okay.
So you need to know that the number of items you're producing, or the number of invoices you're generating. Let's say you're a consultant for something and you're not even producing something, you're just utilizing your brain to solve other people's problems. Then you need to know how many invoices you're getting, how much did all your petrol cost, how much was the licensing of Microsoft or whatever for your computer programs, and then are those escalating as you get busier and busier. So you can Google how to or search anywhere or whatever textbooks to do a break-even analysis, but it's very important to have that. The bank manager will look at that immediately. He'll go through your executive summary, and then he'll look for the numbers, and then he'll find the numbers, and then he'll say, but you're only going to break even in like 5 years' time after you've had 2,000 guests in your lodge. And how am I going to even see my money back? So it's very important to have that timing worked out. That's the navigation of your business, is when you start to see money coming back in, and how you're going to afford what you're paying to go out.
Okay, I just want to quickly take you back there again. If, for example, I see in my business plan something is not right anymore, or something doesn't work for the business anymore, am I still, is it possible to change? can I change my business plan as I go on with the operation?
It's a good point, actually. For sure, everything will change. As far as I'm aware of running small businesses, the market changes, you find new niches. You've found a niche in your marketplace already, but then you find a niche within a niche, and you might start specializing, and then that takes your business in a different direction. So for sure, you write your business plan, this is how you've got the vision, you close your eyes, everything is working, the people are coming into the shop, you can see the money in the till, but if you go in a certain direction, then clearly that's the way to go if it feels right. But let's say if you've borrowed money from the bank manager, then you need to go and see them and say, I did spend your money on these tools and equipment, but now I think I might sell those and buy another piece of specialist equipment. And they should say, yeah, that's fine. They don't want to come to your bank, they don't want to come to your business and say, hold on a minute, we lent you money to buy dough making machines, and now you've bought an oven. So what happened? What's that story? So keep the people who invested in your business informed of movements. But definitely, once you've written a business plan, and you stay in business for, let's say, 2 or 3 years, your business plan will look nothing like your business does in 2 or 3 years' time. I don't think. The viewers can comment and correct me on that, but pretty much like your baby doesn't look the same, is it? It's your baby, it's growing. So I was a beautiful baby and I'm no longer beautiful, so we've all developed somewhere along the line. So.
All right. If you're just joining us, you're watching Campfire series. This is episode 5. We're learning a lot from Martin tonight. But before we carry on, we'll quickly take a commercial break. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. And welcome back. This is episode 5 of Campfire series. Tonight's topic is your business plan, your baby. So no one should write it for you. And Martin is here to guide us through or give us some tips on how to do the business planning. So, Martin, please let's continue from where we left off.
Okay, so we left off at the financial plan.
Yeah.
So I hope we're all thinking numbers, we're thinking Excel sheets. Probably then, even though we don't want you to have somebody else write your business plan, you could also sit with like a financial mentor, let's say, because mentorship is very important.
Great.
In any aspect of your business. But if there's somebody that's going to really help you unpack your expenses, it's also important, because you could think of something, or you might forget something that's quite important that you don't really realize.
Sorry, Martin, I just want to throw this in. I saw on social media, I was just scrolling through and I saw someone saying, is there paid mentorship and is there free mentorship, or what is like in terms like in business?
That's a good question as well. There is paid mentorship where you could have certain companies, I don't know, maybe like PricewaterhouseCoopers or BDO Spencer. I hope I get something for advertising. Then they could probably give you business advice, business advisory services. That's like a sort of mentorship. But then if you're starting out, I wouldn't like that overhead. I wouldn't like to be paying people for advice.
Yeah. So
unless it's professional advice, of course, then it might not be for free. But if you've got somebody that's